Alrighty. So let's do this. And I hope I'm doing this right. It's my first live stream. Don't judge me. I don't have dual screen, so I'm going to make sure this is all recording. Everything's good. All right. So this will be a super informal and just casual, laid back video of me retouching a professional portrait I took this month in March of 2023. Softwares I'll be using is Capture One just for simple exposure, adjustments, temperature, and then I'll move on to Photoshop to do the further editing. So if you're new to Photoshop and editing in general, you'll learn something here. If you are an advanced user of Photoshop and editing and retouching, you might find some things I might not be doing, but this is going to be raw, uncut, casual, informal as mentioned, and or in addition, you might learn something. But let's kind of keep going on here. Got my pen display here. If you have a pen tablet, you can use that. If you have a mouse, it'll take you longer, but it is very possible to retouch or edit a photo. What I'll be using is this one right here selected. This is a recent client and she agreed to allow me to use her image for this video. If you're ever going to edit anyone's video, or I'm sorry, if you're going to edit anyone's photo, I just recommend that you ask for the permission, get it in writing, whether it's through an email or a physical contract. So yeah, so what I like about Capture One is very, very simple. I really like its contrast adjustments and its exposure. You know, Lightroom and Photoshop can do these things, but there's just something about the little sliders here that I really enjoy. I can talk too much. I want to really kind of keep this short but informal for those that are new to editing and such. So let's get the ball rolling here. I shot with a Nikon camera and it tends to bring in a lot of magentas, or maybe I have something wrong with my camera, but a lot of magentas are in here. And what I like to do is kind of, oh, maybe I'm having a, if you're seeing that, I'm having a graphics card issue maybe? That is so weird. How about that? How about that for a first live video? That is so funny, but I'm not gonna let that bother me. I'm gonna keep going. But you can see that it's no longer looking magenta. I might lower the temperature a little bit. Right now it's at about 5,000 plus on the Kelvin temperature. I might cool it down just a bit. And pardon the, if you're seeing what I'm seeing, there's this weird screen just coming across the screen here as I adjust these levels here of the temperature or any input I put in here. This magenta or purple glitch screen is appearing. So if you see it, bear with me. I did not expect that to happen. All right. As mentioned, the contrast is one of my favorites. I'm probably going to bring that up just about 8. And just a quick before and after. Look at that. Before, after. I like it. Okay. So now I am going to, it's pretty much ready to go into Photoshop now. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this into Photoshop. I'm going to right click, edit with Photoshop. And it's going to, got to make sure I like my settings here. JPEG 8-bit. Yeah, that's good. And edit variant. And it's going to go ahead and transfer it into Photoshop. And I am using an older computer, so that is why it's taking a little longer to transfer over. How about that? Less is more retouching. That was a thumbnail for this video, so yeah. And just, you know, that's the settings I did for Capture One. I'm going to go ahead and accept. Not quite sure why that opened. It usually just opens it up into Photoshop without um, that raw window there. Okay. All right. So now that we're in Photoshop, I have my actions here. I'm going to close that so I can get to this little scroll window. Oh, how about that too? Wow. 1 second, guys. Zoom in. There we go. Okay, so first things first, just to point out some of the things that I normally work on. You'll see some hair strays. I'll show you how to do that in just a second, but I'm noticing some hair strays that I normally work on to kind of clean up the image a little bit. And I'll just kind of zoom in a little bit. And it appears that the image was a little soft, so what I did to this what I'm going to do is sharpen up just a little bit just on the face. But any blemishes, she doesn't really have much. Her skin is pretty smooth, and I'll still clean up something here. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and start off with my healing brush, which is more of the spot healing. Spot healing is my favorite. It's just really, really quick. And I'm just going to look out for blemishes, but I really don't see any. But I'm going to get rid of this strand of hair here. Maybe this one here as well. And maybe this one right here. And one thing that I did learn on editing or healing is if you zoom in more, you'll find more. So stay away from zooming in too much. Right now I'm at about 25% zoomed in for how I took this picture. So that's good. Just find anything that's kind of distracting, but nothing. Just don't go too far. The title of this video is Less is More, and it's very true because I'm guilty of over editing. So if I can advise the beginners or those that are new to editing, if I can advise you on editing is to don't overdo it. Okay. Alrighty. She has great skin, so there's not really much I can do here, but I'm still finding little things here and there to kind of heal out. And kind of rewind a bit. If you are new and you're not sure what the healing brush does, it pretty much allows you to remove those blemishes, right? Of course, you saw me doing that, but it kind of what it says, it heals. There's a clone brush that it is what it does. You press S shortcut for clone, and let's say, just to give you an example, this is not going to be the perfect example, but if you needed to clone part of the skin somewhere, I'm going to clone it over here. And that is, oh, I have this activated. I don't know why. Undo that. I don't know why this is activated. Oh, you know, I hit the wrong one. I had the pattern clone. Do not do pattern clone, just the regular clone stamp tool. You hit Alt, click the part of the skin, and you can paint it over here. If you keep going further down, you'll end up seeing that it's going to start cloning in the hair. So it's pretty much copying everything that you targeted when you Alt clicked on it. Okay, I'm going to undo that. Okay, so one thing that did bother me about this image when I took it is this is the picture she chose, but it was a little soft. So what I'm going to do now is sharpen the face just a little bit. Create a new layer. If you don't know what I'm about to do, I'm going to show you how to sharpen an image. If you shot it soft, or maybe you just want to sharpen the image in general, you just want to sharpen it a little bit more. Create a new layer, filter, other, high pass. If your image was sharp already, I would suggest doing less, like 0.9, because this is a very sensitive option here. This high pass is very sensitive. So if the image was already in focus, I'd suggest doing less than 1, probably even 0.5. But because this was a soft image, I'm going to do about 3.5. I'll press OK. And I'm going to turn that layer to a linear light. And I'm going to show you the before and after. Before, after. Now, because the hair was in focus, it's extremely sharp now. But I don't want it all to be sharp. I just want the face to be sharp. I'm going to create a mask right here. Boom. And this pops up. What you want to do is hit Control I. And what this is going to do is going to hide that sharpness. I'm going to do Control I again. And that's revealing it. And the black mask there hides it. So what you're going to do now is get a white brush. White's selected. And with this selected here, with this mask selected, I'm going to go ahead and paint in. And you can see that it is now sharp, just a face. And as mentioned, this is a super casual, informal video here, so this is not planned at all. I am running with this, and I hope that you can still learn something from this informal method here. So real quick, just a before and after, you can see the difference that it did to this soft image. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and just flatten that. To flatten, you go here and flatten image, boom. And it just kind of merges those layers all together, so you just have your base layer again. Let me go full screen. Okay, and all right, so that's looking pretty good. So now that you're done with the healing, you know, let's just assume you had a sharp image. You're done with your healing. You got rid of the blemishes. The face texture is there. I have an action where I created just a dodge and burn. And I'll show you how to do that in just a second. There is frequency separation actions, and that is another method, but I'm going to stick with the dodge and burn because I find this a little more accurate and true to editing. Okay, so all I really did was create levels. Let me close this out, turn that off. All I really did was go here, this little adjustment layer panel here, and I went to, did I say levels? There I go again, curves. Okay, and for the dodge, I'm going to bring up the brightness a little bit. And you don't want to stay like that, so you're going to invert it with Control I on a Windows or Command I on a Mac. See, there's no before and after because it's being hidden by this mask. And once again, Control I to reveal it. Control I to, hide it again with that black mask. And that's all I really did. And then same thing for, I created another mask for the burn. Bring that down. And you hide it. Okay, that's all I really did, right? For dodge and burn. Why you see black and white? Black and white reveals more in the imperfections in the skin. Some people have different, not some people, but light captures shapes the face, so you'll be able to see where to dodge and burn. And I get this red from the black and white. I use a black and white adjustment layer. And I grabbed the red to bring it down just a little more so I can see where the shadows are and where the highlights are. And I'm just going to bring it down a little bit more because I want to see where the imperfections, what I'm looking for is blotches, blotches of shadows or blotches of light for either dodge and burning. And the darker I go, you can see those blotches. But as I said, less is more. Try not to go too dark because you'll find more to edit than it'll be in that over editing phase of your workflow. So I'm going to do something like that. Leave it in black and white because once again, it's allowing me to see the blotches, the imperfections. Okay. So now that I have my dodge, D for dodge, B for burn, I'm going to start off with the dodge. That's just my kind of go-to. Don't zoom in too far. If you are editing a headshot, which is, whether it's, bust up or waist up, I'd say 33% to 50% zoom in, no more. All right. So now that I have the dodge layer highlighted, I'm going to, it's black, I need a white brush. I'm going to bring this brush down to size. And I'm going to look for blotches where I think light should be at. For example, this area right here, let me get my brush bigger so you can see the highlight. This area right here should be a highlight, right? But there's some blotches that I'm noticing and I want to make that even. I want to make it look like it's all even, right? So look what I'm about to do. I'm going to exaggerate here as well so you can see the difference. If I do this, that's what dodge is doing. It's brightening it up. But that's too much. What you want to do is get this flow, put at 1%. And you're going to find that blotch. I see one right here. I'm going to fill it in. Start coloring that in. Okay. If you're having a hard time finding those blotches, feel free to go back to your black and white layer and bring in more red, right? But just don't go too far. Do your best not to go too far. See a blotch right here. We're interfering with the highlight, but I'm not going to try and get too much into the shadows because there is shadows shaping the face as well. Just a little bit over here, a little blotch right here. Okay. Super informal, but just you'll see what this is gonna look like when I'm done with it. So funny. If you are a an experienced retoucher, you probably would have saw something that I'm now realizing. I am on my black and white layer. Nothing's happening because it's on white and I'm on a white brush. I'm supposed to be on the dodge layer. Oh gosh, that was so funny. It happens, but you'll catch it. So dodge, black mask, I need to reveal the light with the white brush. And the brush layers, the brush tools right here. That's so funny. All right. Let's actually get some work done. There's this blotch over here. And it's so funny, that first blotch that I thought I was filling in wasn't getting filled in. I was playing a trick on myself. A little mind trick. All right, there we go. And I do see this big old blotch right here that I did fill in right here, right there. I'm gonna try and fill that in, right? But I'm still later gonna go back with the burn tool and you'll see this all come together. But in just a few moments here, I'm going to show you a quick before and after of one section of the face so you can see what is actually happening. But because I'm at 1% of flow, you might not see anything happening, but promise you it is happening. Okay, and just a quick before and after. We're going to focus on this area right here, or maybe just in general right here, because I think I was retouching this area, or I'm sorry, dodging in this area. So here's before, after. Hopefully the compression of YouTube isn't that bad, but there is a very, very subtle difference. And if there is a compression, let me jump in a little closer. Focus on this area here. Before, after. Very, very subtle. A little goes a long way. Less is more. Okay. Things coming together. I know this is like a big blotch here, but that is the shape of her forehead. So I'm not going to get rid of that. I'm not going to fill that in completely. I'm just going to kind of work with this area here. You want to keep the shape of her head as natural as possible, as original as possible, although we are editing. Less is more. Okay. It's quick before and after, before, after. I'm pretty happy with that. And I see a little blotch right here. Okay, 1 second. Okay. It's good. Just give me a few seconds here. I am looking at something. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. So, I'm going to start moving down. Maybe this area is a little bit of a little tiny blotch here. I'm going to fill that in with some dodge. And if you are new and you're watching this and you're like, what is going on? What is he doing? Feel free to comment and I'll be glad to answer questions. And I'm sure, I'm very, very sure the next video I make, I will do more of the same, but I might have a better explanation of what I'm doing. Once again, this is just a very, very informal, casual, on the spot, just retouch editing here. This was not planned out. It was just me wanting to make a video, very, very first video at that. My first live stream. Okay, and once again, less is more. Finding in those blotches, but not getting rid of all of them. I want to keep the shape of the nose. There's that highlight right here. There's this harsh shadow right here. That harsh shadow is okay. Just a little bit right here. I want to make that a little bit more consistent. Okay, I think that's looking good. And if you are, once again, if you're new again and you're like, where are these blotches at? Once again, it might be a compression thing on YouTube, but when you're editing your photo and you turn it to black and white and you're dodging on your dodge layer, you will see the blotches. And the more you do it, the more you'll see them. And it just kind of goes with that whole practice makes perfect. Just keep doing it. It's a quick before and after on the nose area. Let's see what that looks like. Before, after. Very, very subtle. Let me zoom in a little bit more for you. Before, after, before, after. Very, very subtle, but it looks natural, and it looks good. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the nose there. Um, I guess we'll kind of work with the under eyes a little bit. And under eyes, everyone has different shapes of eyes, so you don't want to completely remove this shadowy area here that you're seeing, this big old blotch, but you want to just do a subtle, you want to do a very, very subtle fill in here. You don't want to get rid of it. And I'm probably going to say this a lot during this video, less is more. Okay, we're going to do a quick before and after on this section here. Before and after. I'm pretty happy with that. Looks good. Okay, I'm going to move over to this side too just a little bit. Probably not too much more than what I just did right now. It's looking fairly okay, but I'm being picky. Before and after. Yeah. And then there's this little blotch right here, if you can see it. We're going to go ahead and fill that in. That's bothering me a little bit. Okay. Quick before and after. Before, after, in this area right here. It's gone. Awesome. Okay, so what else do I want to look at? This little blotch here, I might be going out of order, but you work at your pace. This is time consuming, but you can get it done faster with practice and when you're not making a video. Right now it's taking me a little longer because I'm making a video trying to do the before and after so you can see what I'm seeing and see what effects are happening when you do the dodge. So this will be done a lot faster than what I'm doing with practice, of course. And it's very, very fun if you're having a rough day and you're just that artist, right? We're all artists, right? We like to draw or paint or digitally paint or editing, whatever it is. This is a nice way to just kind of relax and let your creative outlet. This is a very, very good creative outlet. I'm sorry. Okay. Just once again, just still finding those blotches, and we're still in the dodging mode right now. We'll get to burning in just a moment here, but we are totally just dodging out the blotches. What would be kind of cool is if you know the whole Bob Ross art painter that just popped into my head right now, that if Photoshop had sound effects to the brush strokes, so you can hear the texture of the brush hitting the canvas, or maybe or maybe that wasn't a good idea, but my imagination is just kind of going off as I'm doing this, and watching Bob Ross was very, very calming for me when I used to watch him. So if your imagination is just a little like mine, imagine retouching a portrait that takes you some time, right? But has the sound effects of brush strokes hitting the canvas. Okay. Still looking for blotches. No speed editing because this is live. Not sure if I'm going to do a speed edit version of this. You know, I might, but um, I'm really enjoying the live on the spot, casual, informal, chill experience of this. Just a quick before and after on the chin here. Well, even here too, 'cause I edited this area and here. Look at those before, after. Just such an improvement, right? It's not over edited. It's really just fixing the blotches of shadows to match the light that's in that area. Kind of like if there's more light there and you see patches of dark, you want those patches of dark to match the light area, right? It's kind of like, hey, you don't belong here. Not in a bad way, but like, hey, you don't belong here. So let's, fix it. Um, and that's what we're just really doing. It's just kind of making that area that has light a little more even. Okay. And I know this is a little shadow here, and I just said, oh, you don't belong here. But you know what? That's the shape of her face right there. So do I want to get rid of that? I don't think so. For this one, I'm gonna leave this here. And there's a very, very subtle blotch here. It's still part of the shadow, but I'm gonna just fill this piece in just a little bit. And guess what? Even though I'm dodging this area, it's still considered the shadow part because this is truly the highlight right here. And I'm only going to be able to see this because of this black and white layer. Alright, so here's another patch of shadow here. Gonna kind of smooth out a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe just a little here. Yeah, once again, make sure you have that mask highlighted and that you are on a white brush. Don't be like me earlier where I was on the black and white layer and I thought I was dodging. I was like, man, this looks good, to find out that I was not dodging at all. Okay, still looking for patches of dark. This is her cheek, right? And although this is a shadow part, I think I'm seeing a little bit of a darker piece here that I want to try and even out. And once again, I'm not going to make it like this area. I'm going to keep it in this tone here. It's a very, very subtle patch there. And I'm going to smooth that out a bit. I think I got it. Before and after. Yeah, very, very subtle. Love it. Okay, and maybe this patch right here. I think. Can always redo it if I'm not happy. Before, after. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Can always zoom out to view your work. Before, after. Before, after. I think I'm gonna wanna. This is a highlighted area. I think I see a little gray area here that I want to fill in. Just a little bit. Before, after. Yeah, that looks good. And maybe a little bit here too. It's kind of like the side of her nose has that little blush. And not makeup blush, but you know, the side of her bridge of her nose has a darker piece there. And before, after, that looks good. I'm very, very happy with that. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So what I'm going to do next is I want to jump into the burn, but I think I see one little piece here. Once again, always zoom out to see your work. If you stay zoomed in, your eyes are going to be adapted to just seeing that close. So you want to zoom out and view your work. You can do the before and after. Boom. And you'll see more things to catch, but once again, do not zoom in any more than no more than 50%. If you can, stick to the 33% that Photoshop does on its zooming levels. Right now, down at the left corner here, it's at 16.67%. I zoom in one more time, it goes to 25%, then 33. I would stop here 50%. That's where you're gonna just kind of, you're on the border of editing too much. So don't zoom in too much, okay? All right. Okay, I think I'm happy with the dodging. I am going to do the burning. And let's just take a quick look at the color version of it, right? So there's before, after, before, after. I'm gonna zoom out. Before, after, before, after. I mean, it looks done, but you're gonna see what the burning does to kind of complete this look. I'm gonna reactivate the black and white layer because it helps me visualize where the shadows are now. We used it to visualize where the highlights are and kind of smooth out those patches. Now we're using it to visualize the dark parts. And to be able to see a little bit more into the shadows, I'm going to raise. And you could keep it dark if you want, but I want to be able to see the shadows a little bit more. And I'm going to raise it up just a little bit. Once again, you do not have to do this. It's just more of a personal decision on me. I want to be able to see the shadows a little bit more. Okay. Go back to my layers. And now we need to make sure we're highlighting our burn mask. It's on black. You're on a white brush. And for me personally, finding blotches in the shadows is harder than finding blotches in the light. And with that, I tend to do more of the global burn. And what global burn is when you're just really using a bigger brush, and I'll show you right now. And maybe I'll just do that first, since I brought it up and I don't want to throw you off. Global burn is when you're just really just shaping and contouring the face. So let's just do that real quick, right? And before, just focus on the forehead because that's what I was worked on. Just before, after, before, after. Very, very subtle, right? Less is more. Do not overdo it. And I'm just going to kind of rim the face real quick because you can obviously see there's the shadow. It's gradiating into light, but we're going to stick to the shadow area. And we're still at the 1% flow because we need to gradually build up the value of the shadow. And I kind of tend to follow where the shadow is, right? It's kind of like the natural shape of the shadow is there as a guide, so we just follow that. And I'm assuming she put some blush on, that's why it's a little darker there, so I want to make sure we kind of keep that there. Okay, global burning on the bridge of the nose, well, not bridge, the side of the nose. And maybe some right here, just kind of a few strokes of that little tip of the nose there. Then you got the shadow here. I'm just going to kind of line the shadow. Just something like that. And it's just a quick before and after. follow this side just a little bit and see what that looks like. Yeah, very, very subtle on this side, but that is good. I'm happy with that. All right. And there's always a little shadow underneath the lip, so I'm just going to kind of line that a little bit. Just going to follow that for a few strokes. I'm happy with it. Okay, and of course you have this, I don't know if I went over this or not, but I see this, you know, where her dimple is, this little shadow. I'm gonna kind of jump in there just a little bit. I wonder if okay, 33%, there you go. 33% of the zoom in. So maybe I should just kind of fill this in a little more, but not entirely because there was a little bit of a highlight there, but hey, let's try that out. And it actually looks good. Okay, let's see what we got here. Fill this piece in right here. There's a little bit of a blotch of light. Fill that in a little bit. I'm kind of now straying away from the global, right? I mentioned I found a blotch of light. I kind of just strayed away from global burning now. So now I'm kind of back into that, just a regular burn. I don't know if what the correct terminology is, but global burn is, you know, bigger brush, contour the face. And now we're going to kind of dive into the regular burning. Maybe a little bit here. Line this a little bit. Like I said, I'm struggling to find some stuff. Like I don't want to overdo this at all. Once again, I'm guilty of over editing, and I don't want to do that for this because I want to share with you that less is more. Still trying to find blotches in the shadows. And I'm having a hard time finding them, but little bits and pieces here and there you'll find if you just kind of stare long enough, and or if you get the kind of going back to the black and white adjustment layer and bringing the red down a little bit, of course you'll see more, but as mentioned before, if you make this darker, you will end up seeing more, which will equal editing more or over editing. Okay. Okay. Do that. And as as I'm burning, I'll probably end up seeing more dodging opportunities. I can decide if I want to pursue that or just say, you know, I'm happy with what I did in the first place. But sometimes we see something that we want to fix, and we end up wanting to do that. So I'm back at my dodge, just finding some extra little spots here that I want to work on. So yeah, I think I'm gonna fill this in just a little more, just a little more, just a little bit. And over here too. A little blotch right here. Okay. I'm being picky, I'm being picky. Don't wanna overdo it. Don't do it, David. color. This is the dodging layer, before and after. This is the burn layer, before and after. That looks really good. See how it kind of, once again, less is more. We didn't overdo it, but there is that contrast with the burning layer before and after. Now here's an overall before and after. Before and after. Before and after. I'll do one more time on the burn here. Yeah. So I want to continue just a little bit more on the global burn, but I want to leave it in the color mode. Increase my brush size. Just kind of fill in this blush area a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more here. A little bit here on the forehead a little bit. Contouring, basically just contouring just a little more. I think I was happy with the nose, so I'll leave that alone. And then here's the neck area. Neck area was obviously a darker in tone, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight that a little more. Okay. That is looking really good. As mentioned, there's that in their dimple area, there's this little highlight here. Shapes her face a little more, but I'm going to try, see what that looks like if I fill that in just a little more. Okay, before and after. I'm going to undo what I just did. Might be able to see this, but there's that. Yeah, I'm gonna, let me try that one more time. Like I said, this is an informal editing session here. Okay, and that looks really good. So I'm close to almost being done with this. So bear with me just a few more moments here. We are almost done. I want to show you one more thing. Some people that come for headshots, depending if it's allergy season or they're just sensitive to anything at the moment, we get red eyes, right? So they're seeing some red in her eyes. One thing that I do like to do is brighten and reduce the saturation just a little bit. I'm going to go to my dodge, and instead of having it at 1% flow, I want to go ahead and increase it to about, I don't know, 13 or 15, just a little bit higher so you can see the difference. Lower down your brush and just paint in the whites of the eyes. Boom. And if you think 13% is too much, you can always scooch it on down. I just want to increase it a little bit more so you can build up a little faster. And here's a quick before and after. Cool. If you think that's too much, you can always back down on it with the black brush to, erase it basically with the black brush. So white brush on a black mask is to reveal the layer, and a black brush on a black mask is to hide that layer effect. Another thing that I do like to do is, of course, increase the little catch lights here. Catch lights. So white brush, I'm just going to kind of do this number here. The little twinkle, right? But we call it the catch lights. And just a quick before and after. I think I'm happy with that. Let's try before and after here. Boom, boom. Before, after. I like it. So that was the brightening of it. Next, I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to go to this window here and go all the way down to color. You can probably use saturation, but I like to use color. And black or white doesn't matter. As long as it's a black or white color, I'm going to start painting in the whites of the eye to reduce down the redness of the eyes. And quick before and after on the black and white or the color layer. See, her eyes are red. Now they're kind of not red, right? I think I'm probably going to want to leave this video for the dodge and burning and maybe not the hair. That would definitely extend this video a lot longer. But the idea is to get rid of these stray hairs to make the portrait look a little more polished. And just a quick preview, I would, use a healing brush to get rid of these strands. Press J for the healing brush, and I'll get rid of these loose strands here. All right, that's the long way. But I do use those for the hairs that kind of stick out a little too far. And then I jump to the clone brush. S is the shortcut for the clone brush. I'll make a little bit bigger brush, something like this. Alt click on the background because you want to clone the background over the hair. You just kind of paint over. And maybe I'll just do this piece right here since I'm already here. And you know what? I had 13% and you can definitely see where I edited that there. Let's redo that. I'm going to bring it down to, let's just say 3%. And maybe the brush a little bigger. Click, Alt, hold Alt, press, and then click on the background there, nearest the hair or the stray hair, and you start painting in. And just gradually paint that in because you're basically cloning that empty space over the hair. And just like that, she had no stray hairs. Still kind of there, that little editing work, which will require more, more cloning. But for the purpose of this video, trying to make this as quick as possible. Not as quick as possible, not that long, not any longer. For the purpose of this video, you use the healing brush to heal out the strays that are going everywhere. And then for the stray hairs that are bunched up, I use the clone tool, just as you saw me do right now. Boom. And zoom out. You got your before and after, before, after, before, after. Boom. That looks very, very good. And then when I'm done, I usually just kind of flatten my image. I'll go flat. I'll go here, flatten image. Just press OK, and kind of zoom in a little bit more. If I see more blemishes, I'll just kind of touch up with those. But I don't see any blemishes. Maybe on the neck, right? Just kind of get rid of these little guys here. Example of a stray hair using the healing brush. Boom. Let's do that. Get the healing brush, the spot healing brush, and just trace over the hair. And it goes away. Okay. And I see this right here that's bothering me. Yeah. Okay. So I want to say we'll just kind of call that a video right there. I want to say this was focusing more on the dodge and burning. I want to say a hair editing video could be a separate video on its own. But this is my process of editing a professional portrait. And you can use this even in fashion headshots as well. Same process applies. Dodge and burning. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to comment. If you'd like more videos on editing a specific, whether it's hair or maybe just eyes, or just another video in general, I'm going to keep doing these, but if you have a request, feel free to comment and let me know. Well, I hope you learned something today, and just keep going. Less is more. All right, you have a good one. And don't judge me, I only have one screen.